Good evening, and welcome to Riderpiece Theater. Me, Alistair Dayhawk. Tonight, me proud to present Kamen Rider Geats, episode 18. Tycoon the Mole? Yes, guys. By the end of this episode, Keiwa, after 3 votes, he is declared the mole. And Neon, I'm so disappointed in you. Ace, well, I'm disappointed in you too. But they didn't defend their friend's honor after everything they've been through. And man, it was so hard to watch. And kudos to the actor playing Keiwa. Like, he is good. He's very good. And so let's move on, shall we? Let's begin our tale with, the waiting lounge. Well, not the waiting lounge, but more of the, that room where people can just vent in front of the camera. You did it. And, they have their room, but unfortunately it's all pitch black. You can't even see a damn thing, not even a chair. But you see Ace just sitting there getting interviewed, and at the end of his interview, he tells us, the audience, that if you know who the mole is, let me know. And his, smirk and all that. Ugh. And then it leads to Keiwa and his cooking. Already, Said does not trust Keiwa, assuming that he is poisoning the food. And Keiwa, is like, why would I do that? And then we get a little bit of a reveal that he's been cooking for children after work. We don't know how long exactly, but he's been cooking for children. And, so I'm innocent here. I cook for kids. I'm not the mole. So reluctantly, the writers, like, okay, fine. I'll eat this food. Hopefully I don't get poisoned. As they were about to eat their breakfast, mind you, if you noticed, Ace made this red tape that looks like a carpet almost. I'm like, Ace, you're so full of yourself. I hate you. I don't like you. I don't know if you noticed that, but there was that red tape. And like, anyways, they were about to eat. And then the new game master appears out of nowhere, ruining their breakfast. And what makes matters worse, already, he is declaring that by the end of round 2, you need to have voted who is the mole. And for those who don't vote, gets eliminated because it's considered a forfeit. And poor Keiwa, he's just, what the hell? Like, he's the only sane one, aside maybe Ace, that, hey, like, you're supposed to be saving the world. Why are we doing this stupid reality show? And Sharim was like, hey, I have an audience I need to keep my audience happy. So you need to do this. So if you don't vote, it's considered a forfeit and you'd be gone from the tournament. And Sumari, added this, where whoever gets the most votes gets eliminated, regardless if they are the mole or not. So they really need to vote very carefully, because they could be sending off an innocent rider here. And poor Keiwa, again, he doesn't want to do this. He would rather be back at the old regime, and you feel for him. But luckily, he has an admirer. He has someone on his side. So, and he is like at the camera staring at Keiwa's sad little face, like, you need to fight. You need, like, and all that stuff. So, poor Keiwa. He's really isolated. He doesn't want to do this, you can tell, but it's just, he has no choice, especially when his wish is on the line here. Then we move on to the Greenhouse of Doom. Michinaga witness, these 3 Squidward monsters, and he talks to the evil greenhouse man. I'm like, what the hell are you doing? And what's up with this ball that you have? And evil greenhouse man says, "It's time to play ball," you know? And then we cut to the scene where we get to see Keiwa and his kids, and he was about to cook for them, and he gets greeted by these kids, Keiwa Ni-chan, and they're so cute. And as they were having this cute moment, the same Squidward comes in and attack the city. Keiwa transforms in front of the kids. And it's funny because, the kids were like, hey, Keiwa Ni-chan just transformed. He's a writer and all that stuff. He's a superhero. And Keiwa's like, we should, enough of that, kids. Go inside the building. Just go to safety. Let me do this. Go away. So he ends up fighting the squids. At the same time, Sumeri announced that round 2 has begun, and this game is called, which I'm gonna butcher this name because, it's me, is Jyamar Ball. And in this game, it's split into 2 teams, Team Rider versus Team Jyamato. And in order to win this game, you need to score the most goals. And that's it. And this game it reminds me a little bit of a combination between basketball and football. And, the fight scenes were pretty good. You see him, capturing the ball while fighting at the same time. And it's just, wow, it's pretty awesome. You can tell that Yuya is really into creating these games. So fast forward, right now Team Squidward is in the lead, and Keiwa was fighting Rook, but then next Rook is talking with a familiar voice, which causes Keiwa to just stand still and just like, hey, what's going on? This monster is talking with a familiar voice, and he gets flashbacks of the first Kamen Rider, the bear rider, and he's like, so no, it can't be, and Daichi is witnessing this whole thing and already has given him the first bullet into declaring Keiwa to be the mole here. So because of that, Team Squidward is in the lead. Let me check. So they're in the lead of 13 points while Team Rider is at 11. They're neck and neck, but they're in a narrow lead, Team Squidward is. So we move to Sae doing her interview in that dark, pitch black room. And all the while we go back to the real world where we see the children trying to escape, because remember, when the Squidward appeared, this red barrier appears and it's not gonna leaving the kids and whoever gets trapped in that force field trapped. So you see the poor kids just banging on the shield while their parents trying to figure out how to get them out. All the while you see Jean and Ace, they're talking, and already Jean is doing a lot of research on Ace. And Ace, from the looks of it, does not approve of what Jean is doing. And he's going to do whatever it takes to do some research on Jean. And what I find it to be very cute is that Jean has this iPad, and in the back of it, like all the Geats stuff. That was funny. But at least Jean isn't as annoying as the fan from Oblivion, and he does not stalk him. But yeah, we still don't know what Jean's deal with Ace. We don't know, except that he finds him fascinating. He wants to know more, and we don't know the deal is at all. So Jean is doing some digging. Ace does not approve. So we move on to Sae and Neon back at the not really at the waiting lounge, but at the training room. They're training, and then we lead to the waiting lounge where we have this confrontation between Daichi and Keiwa as to why he did not attack the squids. And this is where Keiwa pretty much tells Daichi what happened, what he assumed. And he tells him that I believe that these monsters were created out of the corpses of the past riders. And he started to hear these familiar voices from the past, and he pretty much was spilling the beans on Daichi because he is a fellow rider and all that. So that's where I believe that Keiwa just gave another bullet to Daichi. And this is where Daichi said, okay, I believe you, but we cannot tell this to anybody because it's going to cause chaos. We need to keep it a secret for now. And Keiwa agreed. So already, Keiwa, without knowing, just gave 2 bullets to Daichi to pull on to him. So Keiwa in his, Ace is right about Keiwa, at least. I give him credit for that because he's very gullible and he tends to pretty much be like friendly towards others and believes in people. I think that's one of the reasons why Keiwa puts himself in this situation, because he believes in people so much that, people cannot be evil, but he's gonna learn the hard way after a couple of scenes. So after he spills the beans about, the dead riders and all that stuff, we move to Michinaga. He tries to escape. He takes his broken ID core and his driver, and he is greeted by 2 squid riders. And he tries to transform, but obviously due to his ID core being cracked, he cannot transform until he forced the ID core to actually function, and we see him transform. Unfortunately, he is having a terrible time because you see all these electric shocks like appearing now and again because it's not functioning well. He ends up destroying one of them. He takes the Jyamato buckle. He uses it on himself, assuming that it could work. And he gets a new form, which I expected a little bit more in my opinion, but he gets his new Jyamato armor form. He ends up destroying the other squid riders, and he ends up escaping only to discover that he is in another world, because all these buildings, let alone 2 greenhouses, are covered with plants. So he's not in his world. And then you see evil greenhouse man in the background saying that you don't belong anywhere. So my question to you guys, that what does he mean by that? What does he mean by that? So then after the plant world, we move to Neon and Sae finishing their training, and she asked Neon, what do you think, Keiwa? Like, what do you think about Keiwa? Is he a good kid? Has he been very suspicious? All these questions, because she is already, believing that Keiwa is the mole. This is the part where I'm so disappointed in Neon, because after everything she been through with him, after everything else, like, she never comes in and just say, hey, Keiwa is a good kid, he can't beat the mole, blah 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 blah. And she just stood there and she's doubting herself, she's doubting him. And we have this cutscene with Sae and her interview in that pitch black room, and then it leads to the scene where I was talking about earlier with the 2 bullets. Daichi, out of nowhere, says to everybody that I know who the mole could be. And he points at Keiwa. And Keiwa, with his like shocked look on his face, like, are you serious right now? And then he points out the whole thing with the Squidwards earlier in the episode that he witnessed. Sae also agreed to him because she noticed that too. She and also Keiwa just like tells Daichi, hey, like, we've been talking about this like together about what I think about earlier, and Daichi plain out lies to everybody, especially to Keiwa, like, you didn't talk to me at all, like nothing happened. And Neon was like, so nah, like I don't believe it. And again, Neon, you could have just went in and just, hey, he can't be the mole and blah 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 blah. But Neon just stood there and just didn't do anything. Ace didn't do anything, except that, well, it looks like the majority, thinks that you're the mole, and you have to prove yourself that you're not. Obviously, I think Ace is on Keiwa's side. He's just being neutral about it. But poor Keiwa, he's just very... Keiwa is literally like... I just can't put the words into it because he has been thrown under the bus by Daichi, and due to his belief in people and being very trusting led him to this point. Like, all the remaining writers, maybe Ace, that they think that Keiwa is the mole. And then, just to make sure that he doesn't do shady stuff, Daichi just strips him of the ninja buckle that he had, and he is going into the second round without a buckle. So yeah, Keiwa has been thrown under the bus. So second half begins. The squid team, the squid/plant team appears with 5 people with 2 balls, so now the two teams are now even. And what makes matters ridiculous is that after the riders transform, Daichi just tells everybody, keep an eye on Keiwa because he's the mole, and you never know with this guy. And it's just like throwing salt in that wound, and just it causes Keiwa to really doubt himself. However, something happened that made him just knock some sense into him and really be like, regardless if people don't believe me, I'm gonna do this for the kids, making my wish come true. So what happened is, during the game, one of the balls just hit the building where the kids were and the cooks were at. Keiwa comes in, saves the kids, and he completes the secret mission and gets the rising buckle instead of the booster buckle. Because remember, in the past, he usually gets the booster buckle every single time. But this time, however, instead of the booster, he gets the rising buckle. He uses it, and by the way, the rising form, both Ace's and Keiwa's, they're pretty badass in my opinion. I hope that Neon gets that chance to transform, hopefully. So we move on. So Keiwa joins into the fight, and then it leads to, again, Rook meeting with Keiwa, and he was attacking, but then all of a sudden Rook transforms into his human form, which confirms Keiwa's theories to be true. You see him all veiny in his greenhouse clothes, and he's just like on his knees, like waiting for something to happen, and obviously Keiwa is not going to kill him. And then he ends up transforming back to his plant form, his rook form. And then out of nowhere, Daichi comes in, attacks Rook. And then this is where, the chaos happens, because poor Keiwa, he knows the truth now. He tries to come in between, Daichi and Rook, because you can't kill him because he's a friend of ours. Don't do this. But he accidentally, slices Daichi to the point where he demorphs. He's okay, but you see him getting hit by Keiwa. And in the confusion, Rook takes a goal, and now they're ahead. And Ace is like, yeah, we need to get our shit together because it's not working. And the episode ends. Oh, man. Yeah, so the episode ends here. Keiwa, I think this is what Ace was trying to quote-unquote train you, because due to your trusting in people, just overall trust, he's too trusting, and due to that, you gave Daichi the opportunity to throw you under the bus, because already, which leads me to my theory of who I think the mole is, even though it's so predictable. But then again, Kamen Rider is predictable sometimes. But my theory is the mole is Daichi, due to last week when it was announced that someone within their circle is the mole, is the traitor. He has already spread seeds of mistrust amongst all the writers, and I assume that Daichi also wanted to get Keiwa out of the picture because he's easy pickings, and again, he is too trusting, he's too gullible, so he's easy pickings for writers to just trying to manipulate and just getting kicked out of the tournament. And because of this episode now, Keiwa inadvertently, unintentionally gave 2 bullets to Daichi due to his actions. One, like I said, when he was surrounded by the squids, him listening to the voices that made him just stop and just wait a minute. I can't attack these monsters because they could be the corpses of the dead riders. And then leading to the conversation between him and Daichi, and just telling his theory as to why he thinks that these monsters are from the past writers. This is where Keiwa gave him the second bullet, because of that, Daichi tells everybody in that room that Keiwa is the traitor, and he ultimately lied. He lied to everybody, especially to Keiwa. So I personally think that Daichi is the mole due to his actions. However, like I said, I don't want him to be the mole only because it's so predictable. If anything, if I had a second pick, which I think it's not going to happen, but it's going to add some shock value, is Neon. I want Neon to be the mole. And I believe that by the end of the next episode, an innocent rider will get eliminated. And the mole will still be around, regardless if it's Neon or somebody else. So Neon is still safe. I still believe that Ace, Neon, and Keiwa will be the final 3, like always. So Daichi and Sae will be the ones eliminated. But I believe the first person to be eliminated is Daichi. There's a reason why Ace did not join in the voting, because after the whole accusation of Keiwa, Neon, Sae, and Daichi already voted. They only need Ace in order to have Keiwa to be eliminated. But there's a reason for that. I think Ace believes that Keiwa is not, and it's somebody else. And he's going to point the finger of who is actually the mole here. So Keiwa can still vote. He can vote but he's not gonna do it. But ultimately, he's gonna have to in order for him to stay. And I believe he's gonna vote for Daichi, if anything else. So yeah, so I believe Daichi is the mole, and yeah, I think that's it. Overall, this episode just came out from M. Night Shyamalan movie. Nothing much really happened except for the Rook reveal, Keiwa being thrown under the bus, Keiwa cooking for kids, which is something to add to his character. Gene is really into Ace. That's why he's digging into, Ace's past. Neon, I'm so disappointed in you. You can't defend your friend, and you just stood there and be like, oh, I can't believe that Keiwa is the mole. I'm like, no, girl, no. I'm so disappointed in you. Ace, I can understand. He wants to remain neutral, and he doesn't want to appear to that, no, Keiwa is my friend. He wouldn't do such a thing, but he just sits there and remain neutral. But Neon, I'm mad at you. That's why I put you on the list of you being the mole, but I doubt you are, but I'm gonna do it anyways. Other than that, I think that's it. If I missed anything, guys, please write in the comments below. Give a like if you like it, please subscribe, and please tell me if you've seen the episode already. Did you like it? Did you dislike it? And what would you change? And yeah, I think that's it. That's it. That's all I can think of, and I'd rather just end it now before I start rambling. So thank you guys for listening, and I'll see you all on the other side of Oblivion. Johnny!